The views and opinions expressed on this program do not reflect the company, owners, management, staff, clients, or partners.
It's Monday the 28th. I'm by myself, ain't I? It's Monday the 28th day of October 2024. Welcome to Bermuda's Daily Talk Show. It's the Daily Hour brought to you by the BAC Group of Companies, Medical House Lindos, and People's Pharmacy. I'm Jamel Hartman, and Maya Palacio will be with us in a bit to bring you the latest in the news break brought to you by People's. Well, it's Monday, and Dave Michael Wilson says, make it a meaningful Monday, TDH, fam, and crew. Yeah, I hope you made it a meaningful weekend that will give you the opportunity to have a meaningful Monday and traditional work week to all of you. How was everybody's weekend actually? How did you spend your weekend? Did you get some rest? Were you adventurous? Did you do anything fun? Weekends are so interesting. You know, I posted something on Facebook, not Facebook. The only thing I use is WhatsApp statuses, but I posted something. Let me find it for you all. Posted something on my WhatsApp status, and it was just so. Yeah, it was so. But it was hating 5 days of the week and spending 2 days dreading the return shouldn't be the norm. Man, based on what I see from some folks throughout social media and personal conversations, people hate their jobs, right? The crazy thing is we spend more time awake through the week being at places we don't enjoy being because, you know, it's the norm for us to go to places we probably don't enjoy so that we can make a living. So yeah, hopefully you made the most of your weekend and you didn't dread Monday morning, but you're excited and you're happy to get back to what you do for a living, to be able to support yourself, your family, and contribute to your community. So happy Monday to you all. Greetings, everyone, and thanks for making us part of your daily routine. A good one today as we welcome Denise Riviere on to discuss the Delta Annual Children's Reading Festival. So you don't want to miss that. We've had some folks on about literacy over the last few years, and it's not looking too good in Bermuda. So things like this definitely make a difference in our community. So looking forward to the conversation with Ms. Riviere. The Daily Play is a Who Said It. As you can see, I don't have a co-host. So that means someone in the audience, well, trust me, if I had a co-host, you all would have probably got it right anyway. I'm just saying, you know how they've been rocking lately. They haven't really shown up for the Daily Play. So give me about 50 minutes. 50 minutes. Looking at my watch, 50 minutes, somebody will have the chance. And to go in this week's draw. Don't forget, if you haven't already, make sure you fill out our survey. The annual survey is on our website, thedailyhour.com. Let us know. Your feedback helps us to help the show to improve and fill some gaps and make sure that we're delivering what you need and what you want. All right, so make sure you fill that out and subscribe on the website if you haven't already. Follow us on all of our social media channels to stay up to date with all that we have going on. Help us grow beyond the mic as we do our part to continue to improve our community. All right. How'd you spend your weekend? David Michael Wilson said weekend spent with family mainly, and clean some family history. Good stuff. Sounds meaningful. All right, let's jump into today's conversation. So we received a very sad police report yesterday early yesterday morning, and the it reads, the Bermuda Police Service is seeking the public's assistance with the investigation into a stabbing incident which occurred at a residence on Devonshire Bay Road, Devonshire, shortly after 12 a.m. on Sunday, October 27, 2024. The incident resulted in a 17-year-old male being taken to hospital with life-threatening injuries. Sadly, the young man did succumb to his injuries. There were several young people at the residence at the time of the incident, and the police are still appealing for anyone with information, no matter how significant you may think it might be. Just contact the Detective Inspector Clifford Roberts on 717-0509, or you can email croberts2 at bps.bm. All right. With that said, I think it's important for us to address this. Suzanne Ingham says, "Another awesome Monday, Jamal. You're in the dark again. Is the reason for the darkness." You can see my face. Um, have you heard? There was another murder yesterday morning. It's horrendous. I think Mondays. It's I don't know, because I say something at the end of every show, especially going into the weekend. I say, make it a safe and a great one. And I actually mean it. I don't think it's not meant to be a catchphrase, but it really reflects our society. It reflects the community we currently live in. And when I say reflects the community we currently live in, I mean that, we road fatalities, road collisions that may not lead to fatalities, just things that are happening, normally. I think the police report a couple weeks ago said 6 road collisions per day. I know statistically we'll look and see how that compares with other destinations our size, similar population. I think the comparison should be between us when it comes to stuff like that. How are we versus how we were 5 years or 10 years or 20 years ago? With this incident this past weekend, when I say make it a safe and great weekend, I'm speaking about our entire community. Um, as I've said before, I don't like talking about this stuff on this show. The purpose of this show is for us to discuss things that amongst one another that are going to improve our community. And I have people saying, but you can't ignore it because this is what's happening in our community, and it's a part of what we can we do to ensure that it doesn't happen. Um, without, I don't have full details about this situation, but I think it's important to get a grasp and get an idea from you, the audience, and what concerns you most about knife crime in Bermuda. Because over the past decade or so, it's been gun violence, and we focused on gun violence a lot. And knife crime is just as serious as people will tell you. There are young people who are carrying, knives for whatever reason they believe protection. If I'm not mistaken, a knife is considered a weapon and you're found with it, then there's a severe penalty for that as well. But what concerns you most about knife crime in Bermuda? And I don't want to, out of respect for the victim's family and the investigation, I don't really want to get into the situation this past weekend. But I think as a community, we should be concerned. We should be very concerned that one, someone would feel the need to carry a knife for protection, but also that people are carrying knives to cause trouble. I think that should concern us all. Um, what are your thoughts? What are your thoughts? What can we do? And what concerns you most? What concerns you most about knife crime in Bermuda? Is it? I mean, comparatively speaking, I live in a state where it's legal to carry without a permit, right? All you have to do is not have a criminal record and have a license, and you can carry a firearm. And some people will say, well, you know what, it's no different, but it is, right? Bermuda's a different island. Like, I don't, are we at a point where we all need to carry something for our own protection? Are we going to start responding like political groups in the United States where they say, well, the school shooting would not have happened if teachers were armed. Like, what is our response to this? This should be of concern to all of us, right? Like, how do we respond to it? For me, what concerns me most about knife crime in Bermuda is that people feel the need to carry one. That's concerning. In 2024 Bermuda, that's concerning. Do you think that, okay, let's use a southern state in the US that has, the carry, do you, yes or no, do you believe people should be able to carry weapons for protection in Bermuda? Do you believe that? Do you believe people should be able to carry weapons for protection in Bermuda? Do you believe that? Yes or no? Do you believe that people should be able to carry weapons for protection in Bermuda? Do you believe people, yes or no? Do you believe people should be able to carry weapons for protection in Bermuda? Because I think that's the kind of society we seem to be creating for ourselves. Janet Maynard says, I'm concerned that people involved in these incidents are getting younger. That is a concern. That is a great concern. Yeah. She says, I'm concerned that people involved in these incidents are getting younger. Do you believe people should be able to carry weapons for protection in Bermuda? AZ says no. Nicole Hassel says yes. WKD Lama says no, increases the likelihood of violence. Okay. Derek, I like this. Derek Hendrickson says, do you believe people are carrying weapons for protection? Interesting. Very interesting. But why? Why? Is this modern day Bermuda? Do you believe, yes or no, audience? Let us know, yes or no. Do you believe people should be able to carry weapons for protection in Bermuda? Yes or no? Yes or no? Do you believe? Mia Chambray over on Instagram, she says, no way. No way. Okay. I've never liked the idea of needing to carry protection, but I understand it. I understand it. I've never agreed with it, but I understand it. David Michael Wilson says, for me, the greatest concern is the fact that our young people are in need for protection as opposed to being safe and without the added stress. Yeah, David. Yeah. I think Bermuda's only so big. We've said this on the show a number of times, right? Bermuda is smaller than some of the smallest towns in the United States, right? You say, oh, we're a town of only 80,000. Like, that is very small. And to know that, I think the biggest difference is, you've got some small towns in the US where they're, hundreds of miles from, what you'd probably say civilization, right? Or other towns. Bermuda's literally hundreds of miles away from like US mainland, right? And one would think that we would probably focus on working together, fending for each other. But the idea that in this small town, we feel like there are certain people who cannot go to other places, like they're boxed in to this area because they cannot go to certain places, or that there are certain people who will come into certain areas to start and make trouble. It's strange. And we've got this society, and I don't want to hear that. Oh well, we did not always have it like this. This was not always Bermuda. This is different because there are some people say, well, we always had murder. We always had this. This is different. This is very different. And we've got to face reality. We have got to come to terms that this is different. This is not how we should be living. We've got to be honest about that. Nicole Hassel says, these are different times, very upsetting, but this is where we are now. Renee Simmons says, I think young people are carrying weapons for protection, but it's illegal, so they hide their weapons. It's obvious because the weapons are readily available when they are in confrontations. I know that there are laws in place. Let me just check, because I know there are severe fines and imprisonment for having a bladed article. I don't have those before me. But there are serious crimes. AZ says, hard to face reality when the Bermuda Police Service hasn't published any stats since 2020. That may be on their website, but if you watch this show regularly, Maya and Teo shared stats from the Bermuda Police Service pretty often on these kind of things. So not quite sure that's true. Maybe they haven't updated their website, but I'm pretty sure that Maya and Taylor have done a great job of sharing statistics during their news break. And that's not a plug. That's not a plug saying that you should tune into the Daily Hour for news. I'm just saying that maybe, I mean, I don't know if anyone for the Bermuda Police Service is out there as to why they haven't updated their website with statistics, if in fact what AZ is sharing is the latest, but they definitely have shared them with the media over the years. So thank you for that, AZ, because that's one of the first places people may go for it. David Michael Wilson says, perhaps coming from what many might consider a sheltered life growing up, my biggest fear was not living up to my parents' expectation. Now it's like peer pressure, overkill. Okay. Kathy Ann Painter says, I guess the question for me is who and what do they need protection from? I think that's a valid question. Who and what do they need protection from? Nicole Hassel says, bladed article up to 2 years imprisonment or fine. Yes, thank you so much for that, Nicole. Thanks for that. 2 years of my life in a cell is not what I want to grow up to experience. It's not where I want to be, you know? Kathy Panta says, has our community become one that we need to carry protection? Well, it would seem so based on these young people carrying knives. And again, that's the reality we need to face, that we have people in our community who feel the need to carry weapons for protection. Charles H. Jeffers is second. He says, legalizing carrying weapons for protection hasn't worked out well for our friends in the US. Many countries don't allow weapons to be carried and have far fewer incidents than those who do. I would probably disagree with that, Charles. And I'll disagree in this respect. To say it hasn't worked in the US is probably not quite true. And that depends on what numbers you use. And I'll give you an example. One of my colleagues said to me recently that they never really understood or agreed with the open and carry, like the gun laws in the US, until they were traveling through kind of southern Midwestern US, and they realized, oh, this is a state everybody can carry. And people left their doors wide open. Like, they had no fear. Like the idea of like the US laws, to understand them and not make excuses to understand them. There was a time when Bermudians used to be able to leave their doors unlocked, right? Remember those times? The idea of being able to own a firearm in the US is that you should not be afraid of someone breaking and entering into your house. They should be afraid of breaking and entering into your house. That's the idea behind it. What I think we do is we put in a box the radicalization and the school shootings and the mass shootings. But to say it hasn't worked is probably not true. And if we're being honest, statistics will probably show that it has worked in certain towns, which is why I hate to say this, but in certain towns, depending on the politics, you don't see as many incidents as you might see in other places. So I think that's more debatable whether it's worked in the US or not. Right there, Charles. Kristen Souza says, yes, our front door on our main road was always open growing up. Okay. Yeah. I mean, it was a different Bermuda. All right. So I want to bring Maya in. I believe she's probably got an extended news break. Don't forget, I want to bring the energy up because I think the conversation today with Denise Riviere is probably one that can actually help avoid situations like this because it's about education and children reading, and the more they read and have access to information, the less likely they may be to engage in antisocial behavior. So I think it's a timely conversation that we're having, and the role that organizations like Delta's play in Bermuda shouldn't be overlooked, especially as we're having a conversation like this. All right, let's bring Maya Pelosi in for the Daily Hour News Break, and then we will have Denise Riviere on to speak about the Delta's Reading Festival. Stick with us.
Good morning. Good morning.
Greetings, MP. I think I can say happy Monday on such a sober Monday to you.
We could try to go that route. Yeah.
Yeah. Obviously, it's one of those things where, on shows like this, we don't want to prejudice any investigation or talk about specifics as we're dealing with the loss of a child. And, this is someone's son. And you want to allow people to grieve respectfully. So you don't want to speak about specific situations. But we have a problem in our community that it's like when you speak about, road collisions. I don't think, and I said this consistently lately, we don't seem to care about road collisions unless it's a road fatality, and then we get back to normal. We speak about shooting firearm incidents in Bermuda, and then we get back to normal. Something said earlier by Janet Maynard in the show, it seems like, this is becoming younger and younger. At 17, you haven't lived yet, right? And so I don't know. I mean, I feel like as a community, we should be concerned. But I want to say this because I don't want to seem like I'm putting the blame on anyone when we have these conversations or questions we ask. We live in a Bermuda today where people cannot just volunteer like they used to. It's expensive. The cost of living's high. And some people are literally just trying to keep their head above water. They feel like they can't be concerned with what's happening next door. People love to say back when the village, it was a village and the village raised a child. So we just have a different Bermuda where we can't afford to take care of the village when we are so focused on trying to keep our own afloat, right?
Yeah.
And I think we have to be honest about the Bermuda we live in because it's so easy to speak after this happens. But it's something that Assistant Commissioner of Police Antoine Daniels said back in July when he came on, July, I believe it was. And he spoke about preventative measures. We don't want to be here talking about this after it happens. We need to be talking about preventive measures. And I'm encouraged by the conversation today again, because to me, it's a preventative measure. Having conversations like, the Reading Festival and the like. We don't want to report this. Trust me. If you look at Maya's news breaks, she wants to talk about the good stuff, sports. right? What's going on in the community. You watch Teo's. Teo wants to talk about the quirky stuff, the fun stuff that's going to make you smile, the science and that stuff. Trust me, we don't want to be that media. We don't want to be those people. But unfortunately, we cannot be oblivious and ignore the obvious that's taking place in our community. Sorry, Mai.
No, that's quite all right. Actually, in anticipation for today's news break, I definitely did a lot of digging last night to bring a little bit of background information, some statistics as people talking about to the forefront. So good morning, everyone. This is your daily hour news break brought to you by the great people at People's Pharmacy. So yes, today, yet another family who worried for their child's future, who wondered about their feelings, who based every decision around them is grieving with the realization that they will be burying this child. 17-year-old Ethan Aruda was stabbed to death on Sunday, October the 27th. The incident happened at a house party on Devonshire Bay Road in Devonshire, where about 50 to 100 persons were present. Police were called to the venue at around 12:15 a.m. Some people have come forward, but in recent press conferences, the police said that there has yet to be any suspects at present. Here's the report from the officers.
If you were at this party, we would like to hear from you. If your child was at this party, we would like to hear from you. If you have any video footage or other recorded images from this party, we would like to hear from you. The senior investigating officer who is leading the investigation is Detective Inspector Clifford Roberts, who can be contacted on 717-0590.
And moreover to it, just statistically, like over the years, Bermuda actually has had more stabbing injuries than we actually have had firearm injuries. And this is according to reports that you see on the screen there that was released by the police earlier this year. Now, last year, there was particularly high with a total of 28 bladed weapon injuries. And you'd also note that earlier this year, the BPS was actually foreshadowing their concerns for more stabbing incidents that were probably going to happen around the island.
Since 2020, there have been 84 incidents reported to police involving bladed instruments, with 87 resulting in injury. In 2023 alone, there have been 25, and it's been 16 so far this year in 2024, and we haven't even reached the end of May. So if we continue on this trajectory, as you would see, that we would supersede last year's 25. So far this year, we've arrested 31 persons. This is not new to Bermuda. It's not a new phenomenon. And if this doesn't stop or active steps are not taken to arrest this type of behavior, this can reach epidemic proportions.
And I know that a lot of people do like to bring in the UK as an influence or statistics, or kind of like figuring like, well, why is this happening there? It might be something that's influencing us as well. Well, I went and looked at an article and just talking about it. And this written article by Euronews says that more than 280 people in England and Wales were killed with a knife or other sharp instruments in the year ending March of 2022. 51 of those stabbed to death were teenagers. Now, what is echoed in this article and could be said here in Bermuda is that the vast majority of young people do not carry knives, and they know that it is wrong. But there are some who we as a society have failed to keep safe and help make better decisions, is what we're talking about here this morning. So today, yes, there is devastation and mourning and pain for the death of Ethan Aruda. And tomorrow, as that pain follows through for some and past murders are remembered by others, the island once again has to face the reality of this epidemic on the island. So closing out, just a reiteration that the police have said that there were several young people at the residence at the time of this particular incident. And anyone with information is please ask to contact Inspector Clifford Roberts on 717-0590.
Yeah. And again, I think something the police said yesterday as well is, if you had a child or, someone that you are the guardian of who was in attendance, please have them speak with the officer. And yeah, this is not this. Let's ensure this is not the norm.
I agree. Now, in other news, and this one you may have heard of, but did you know that there's actually the premiere of Nevis is actually in Bermuda, or he recently arrived, and as a part of a kind of like culture connecting tour is what I'm calling it, from the Premier, the Honorable David Burt, which he is hosting in efforts to center shared cultural and economic ties and further opportunities for mutual growth in the areas of education, tourism, and business. Now, this all is coming from the report from the Bermuda government. Meanwhile, reporting the same visit coming from St. Kitts and Nevis, they had a press report that it read, it is estimated that more than 50% of Bermudians are of St. Kitts and Nevis descent, highlighting a deep-rooted connection between the two countries. Premier Brantley has actively worked to reinforce these ties, seeing a future of shared growth, investment, and cultural exchange between Nevis and Bermuda. Now, Premier Brantley said in this press release, quote, "We believe it's time for Bermuda to consider ways to support our development, just as we once contributed to Bermuda's growth, growth through our shared human capital." He emphasized that beyond residency investment opportunities in Nevis and other sister islands of St. Kitts, he cited that real estate is a very attractive sector as well for this. So next month in November, Bermuda will actually receive delegation visits from the Azores, Ghana, and Grenada to our island.
I'm in, man. I'd like to see Bermudians. If you can't afford something in your own home, start investing in other places. Other folks do it, right? I would love to see us, invest, but I don't want us to do it in a way where it's taken away from locals. If that makes sense, I'd love to see us invest in St. Kitts and Nevis and other islands that we have connections through our ancestry. But I just want to ensure that we're not doing to them what was done to us.
There you go. So yeah, I'm definitely going to get a lot more updates in November concerning others coming to the island too, seeing what that's going to actually venture and produce. But furthermore, due to increased demand for their local services, the Salvation Army is at a risk of being maxed out for their monthly budget and is facing temporary closure for this week if they cannot secure vital donations. They're calling on businesses and community members to help collect and donate food and pantry supplies or monetary donations to provide additional assistance and help them reach November. They said their team has tried to be creative with resources, but are observing a concerning increase in the number of those seeking assistance. This situation is critical as this is the first time they have experienced a shortfall in donations at this time of year and are finding it difficult to keep up with the need. Now, in ways that you can help, you can call them at 537-6455 to assist with dropping off food or even getting them to collect and pick up things that you have, and they're in desperate need of canned goods and things that are non-perishable.
Over the last 4 or 5 years, charities, man, they've been impacted, and I got myself in trouble last time I said this, but I definitely watch which charities get the money. I'll leave it at that.
Indeed, you're not wrong about like people a little bit struggling to get that financial support that used to before, but again, that's a testament to the time. As they stated, if we say here on the show, you can't always give as much as they can when they're in financial crisis. Now, in our sports-related news, Oliver Hayward and Olympian Erica Holly actually just produced dominant displays at the adult individual sprint races in the Cambridge Beach Triathlon. This recently just happened. So Hayward finished fresh off of his 8th, actually finished at the World Triathlon in first place here in Bermuda. And then Erica Holly came in right afterwards, securing her first place. And this was her very first race actually since the Paris Olympic Games. So congrats to them.
Good stuff. Oh, hold on. Sorry.
And then we're looking at the weather today. We got a lot of clouds, unfortunately. So it's looking like the tranquil conditions that are going to be fading away for Monday as a weak cold front moves across the island. It will turn with increasingly cloudy and a few showers developing, and the winds will also strengthen later in the day. So we have a high of 75 degrees today.
All righty. I think I have a days of the year today. It's Monday the 28th, right? Yeah, it's well, in the US, it's National Chocolate Day here. National Chocolate Day. And it's also First Responders Day. One for you, Maya, it's International Animation Day. So that's a pretty cool one. But since, chocolate, and we've asked this one on the show before, audience, what's your favorite kind of chocolate? Maya, what's your favorite chocolate?
It definitely switches, but I'm gonna go Reese's Cups today.
Okay. Favorite chocolate? Pretty much all of them. I never liked chocolate as a child, but I don't know, something happened as I got older, and yeah, I like chocolate. I mean, if I had to choose, like a Twix bar is good. I do like Cadbury's, and I don't eat direct dairy, so that's the only like dairy I would like kind of intake is chocolate and cake. But yeah, we've got Mr. Goodbar says Sophia's Mathers, right? We've got Green and Black's almond or Tony's caramel biscuit. That sounds so British. I think I need to try that because they can make a lion bar and stuff over there. Carmen Talker says my nickname Kit Kat. All right.
I do love a good Kit Kat bar.
We've got Charles H. Jeffs II says Cadbury whole nut or peanut butter cups.
Charles, we'll be friends.
The whole
We're
nut.
fighting over the chocolate though.
I dig the whole nut. All right, MP, you have a wonderful day. We'll talk soon.
You too.
All right, my Palacio, folks. All right, folks, do not go anywhere. We're going to take a quick break. We've got Denise Riviere coming up. We're going to be talking about the Delta's Reading Festival this year. So give us about 2 minutes, 34 seconds, and we'll be right back with you.
Let's face it, life can be a little wild, but shopping doesn't have to be. I choose People's, so that whether it's a prescription that needs to be filled, a toy for my little terror, or a gift for a new addition to the family, we'll see about that. Everything's available in one convenient location. Some call it People's, I call it my one-stop shop in the city. People's, we're here for you.
Welcome to the new bulk store, Lindo's Next Level. Wake up in the morning with enough coffee to keep you running throughout the entire day. Your pet at home deserves the best. Stock up on dog food to keep your puppy happy. Need a quick, tasty lunch at home? Your chicken nuggets will be jumping right out of the freezer. What's a movie night without popcorn? You can never have too much. Lindo's Next Level. Why go anyplace else?
Unlock your business potential with BDC's General Microloan, offering up to $30,000 for Bermudian small and medium businesses. Whether it's for inventory, working capital, or equipment, we provide 100% guarantee on approved loans. Simple application, low interest rates, and fast processing. Apply today and make your business dream come true.
Looking for the best care for your pets? Nova's Ark Feed and Supply has everything you need, from top quality foods to toys and supplies. We've got it all. Join our frequent buyer program and earn rewards every time you shop. Plus, we've been awarded the Clever Customer Initiative program for helping you save more. And don't forget, we open an hour early on Saturdays so you can get a head start on your pet care. Visit us today or shop online for easy pickup or delivery. Your pets will thank you.
Hey, Daily Hour community, it's that time of year again. The Daily Hour Annual Survey is live, and we want to hear from you. This is your chance to tell us what you love, what you'd like more of, and how we can make your viewing experience better. It only takes a few minutes, and your feedback helps to shape our show for the year ahead. So don't wait. Click the link, fill out the survey, and help us continue to improve our community one conversation at a time. Alrighty, welcome back to the big show. I'm Jamal Hartman. It's the Daily Hour brought to you by the BAC Group of Companies, Medical House Lindos, and People's Pharmacy. Again, please fill out the survey if you haven't already. And don't forget to subscribe on our website. Follow us on all of our social media channels to stay up to date with all that we have going on. Help us grow beyond the mic as we do our part to continue to improve our community. Without further ado, let's bring in our guest for the day. We've got Denise Riviere. We're talking about the Delta Reading Festival, right? I love this. I do. We've had many conversations with people from the Reading Clinic and educators about literacy in Bermuda over the last few years. So having things like this, in my opinion, is these are the kind of things that help us avoid situations like what we spoke about this morning. So let's give a warm TDH welcome to Denise Riviere as she enters the studio. Greetings. How are you?
Good morning. Hi, Jamal. How are you?
I'm good. Happy Monday to you. Happy
Monday. And hopefully, like you said earlier, some people find some joy at their job today.
Yeah, right. And I again, we didn't plan it like this, and I'm hoping that even through our conversation, we can lift some people up. But before we get into today's conversation, I gotta ask you: you got a favorite chocolate?
Oh my goodness, I have so many, but it is the whole nut Cadbury.
Okay, but you know what? I might have to buy me one. Oh, I can't.
I think I'm gonna get one today too. That's your fault. That's your fault.
I might eat it. I was gonna say I'll buy one and save it for the weekend, but I'll just wait till the weekend. I'll just remind you. But Denise, thank you for your patience. Thanks for coming on. Conversations like this, as I said prior to you coming on, are really helpful for 2024 Bermuda. But just for those who don't know, this is an annual event. Just speak to them about what is the annual reading festival that the Deltas put on.
Sure. If I can first give my condolences to the family and friends of the young man that lost his life. Your conversation actually this morning is interesting because, like you said, it ties to a lot of stuff, but literacy is one of the side sort of angles on what our youth is, because back in the day when I was young, you didn't have to think about the things that our young people have to think about today. So literacy is almost, in some cases, some of the things wrapped around literacy is a little bit of a luxury that we didn't used to have a challenge with when we were young. So the Children's Reading Festival is something, as you said, it's our way of contributing towards the joy of reading, the joy of adventure, the joy of not having to think about some of the things the young people have to think about today, but instead being able to enter a book and enter an adventure and just transport to another place, which is sometimes what young people should be doing versus some of these stuff that's happening today. So yeah, this is our 25th year in doing the Children's Reading Festival. Delta Sigma Theta Sorority, for those who might not be familiar with us, it's actually a worldwide public service organization. There's 300,000 women across the world who are part of the organization. And one of our programmatic thrusts is educational development. So that's what this initiative falls under. We started this back in 1999. So it's been trucking along, and it's grown over the years. We get, in some cases, thousands between parents and children who come out just to, I think, enter the world of adventure. And, you know, with the topic we are talking about today, we don't have enough about that. We might have, as a country, 98% literacy, but we're still missing out on the ability of young people to be young people and not have such heavy things to worry about, like whether or not you can even go to a party and be safe.
Right.
You know, there's things that I couldn't even imagine thinking about at that age. So so hopefully us continuing this event continues to contribute towards the positive parts of what young people could and should be doing.
Indeed. Thank you for that. Again, connects right through to this morning's discussion. Audience, if you have any questions or comments for Denise, please send them through, and we'll get through as many questions and comments as possible. I enjoy this. I was not a reader until I became an adult. And that's to say, my mother would get me a lot of books when I was young. But she got me books because she realized I was not interested in reading. She got me, like, and I forget what they were, but let's say it was a book company that had like 36 different kinds of topics. So it might have been aviation, it might have been computers, sports. That's how I actually learned a lot about sports and geography. I was always fascinated with different places. So I learned different countries that most people didn't even know exist. I remember when I went on my honeymoon, I was telling people at the reception, going to Mauritius, what's that? Like, did I make that up? But I found out so much through that, and I realized that, and it impacted me right through to college, because I never enjoyed school until I went to college, where I was actually studying something I was interested in. So I love events like this, because it's, to me, it's not just giving people books and saying read. It might is tying it to where people are interested. But explain, based on what I just said, just explain to people, and you kind of touched on it already, why an event like this is so necessary in Bermuda today.
Sure. Well, a couple of things. The part that I was just talking about, to expand on that a little bit, is, you know, when we are growing, and even as adults, we continue to grow, part of what's important is creativity, and, you know, being able to, you know, speak eloquently. And, you know, there's so many things, no matter whether we're birth right up until 50, 60, 70, 80 years old, we always have a part of us that relies on our ability to think outside the box. And things like that come with reading a book. Now you have people who read them electronically, read them physically. I mean, you actually probably could start a pretty good debate on whether it's better to read a book, the physical book, or read it online. But so the whole idea of reading is even changing based on technology. And so one of the things that the Children's Reading Festival does is we've stayed at the traditional level of trying to connect a physical book to children. So every child that comes in the park gets a free book. We partner with Scholastic for our books, the book club. We get those every year from them. And the idea that somebody's life and being a productive citizen is actually connected to how well you can actually explore things outside of the seriousness of every day. You know, even performance at work, you know, depends on how much can you actually be creative and, you know, be curious. That curiosity comes from, you know, when you were young. I know my mother used to make me read before I went to sleep every night. I don't know how many parents still do that. I think a lot of our young people are very much into technology and video games, which is not a bad thing because it's a sign of changing times. But are we making sure that they are still connecting to books, whether it be online or physical books, that help them to be able to expound the type of person they are when they grow up and how much and in which way they can contribute to the community. So literacy is just tied to everything we do. And it's not just the books. Even we also at the Children's Reading Festival have a very large arts and crafts section. We have music. There are aspects outside of just reading that people need to remember when they think about the topic of literacy. So I think the way literacy connects to every aspect of our life is what we're trying to do at the Children's Reading Festival. We're just trying to remind people that there's joy in reading. We're trying to make sure that we inspire imagination, you know, those things that are useful at different phases of our lives. And then we also make sure we have resources for parents, because parents are the ones that should be modeling what they want their young people to do. If your children don't see you reading, they probably will not read as much. If they don't see you getting excited about imagination and creativity and things like that, they probably won't. So we also work very closely with our various resources in the community who will be present at the fair, at the festival. And the reason why we have them there is because we're trying to inspire parents as much as we're trying to inspire young people.
Indeed. Love that. And Audie, I want to know, because you said I'm stuck on the traditional book versus the you know, the app reading apps like Kindle stuff. And I want to ask the audience, do you prefer children reading the traditional book, like turning pages, or the computer? And I asked that. Suzanne Ingham says, I prefer a book in hand. I can mark it, write in it, take it everywhere. I can read it much faster, logging it around with me. I love reading a book. Reading is just awesome. I don't know if science will support what I'm about to say, but for me, I have downloaded books. And that's because, you know, driving in the US, you might want to put a book on. But I prefer reading it because I can follow along. I can, as she just said, it's maybe I'm old fashioned, but I can relate to what I'm reading more, doing it that way than listening to because now we have the listening, right? The audio books. Reading on a device, to me, the screen time, I don't find that healthy. I'm not sure if science will back me up, but the screen time is what I have an issue with. But not saying that people shouldn't do it, folks. Again, if that's the method, I'm no educator, I'm no doctor or anything, but I do wonder if people prefer reading books by traditionally the traditional way, turning pages, or on devices. And we've got Lisa Listery says turning pages. Karen Simmons says physical book, turning pages. Yeah, okay, all right. I think
for children, it's the pictures. It's the, you know, there's so much more to it for children. It's not just, a child listening to an audiobook, that's great. But there's even more you get from it when you actually follow the pictures. You can slow down, you can go back and repeat something. So there is part of literacy, and the expansion of literacy, I think, is how children read books and what they see. Storytelling is not just reading a book. We like to use the terminology storytelling because, hopefully parents are reading to their young people, and they put animation, they put, voices, characters. That's the imagination I was talking about earlier. Bringing a book to life is what increases young people's literacy, and then eventually makes them, I think, a more effective individual 20 years later when they're working. Some of that foundation is because they read a book.
Yeah. And I love it. Let's talk about ages. You said that this is for parents as well, but as far as young people, who's it aimed at?
Sure. So from baby up to age 14 is our age group. And they literally come pouring in from the time we open up the gate. Some parents are bringing their children every year. It's been going on so long that it has become an annual activity for families. We have something exciting this year, though, and that is that we have expanded our reach on who exactly we're targeting. And we are trying to be more inclusive of children in the community who might have learning disabilities or might thrive in a less traditional type of environment. And so we partnered with a local organization called Beyond Inclusion. And their founders are Rebecca Lawrence and Brianna Bull Roach. And we had a conversation with them and asked them, how can we expand what we do at the Children's Reading Festival to make sure it's more inclusive and that it is just as exciting for other children as it is as the ones who've been coming for 25 years. So we've encouraged young people who may need to follow sign language. We're having a sign language interpreter for some of the storytelling. We're also going to expand on our sensory station, which sort of gets a lot more into sensory, like how touch, feeling, hearing. We're actually going to have support animals there, dogs. So we're really trying to expand now to be more diverse in literacy, because literacy, when we traditionally think about how we read, how we listen, there are individuals that do not have that same type of ability, but they should be getting the same type of benefit from the festival. So I think that's probably one of the most exciting things for this 25th year is the launch into, another couple of decades of a more inclusive event.
I love it. I do, Denise. I really do. And I think one of the things that I think my mother tried with me is she knew I didn't like school. She tried to make it sound fun to me. She couldn't. I got to college, when I asked her, could I major in something? She said no. And then, I was able to dual major. But in saying that, I think the same with reading for me is, as I've gotten older, I love to read. And that's, one of a close friend, and I consider her a mentor as well. She was the one that started buying me books as an adult, and I just started loving what I was reading. And so like I started to read more, like what my mom did for me, is read more of what I was interested in. My advice to anyone is, don't wait till you get my age to do it. Because it's fun. It's fun. I think we look at reading as wasting time. As I got older, I don't watch as much TV if it's not sports or, news aimed shows, and not traditional news. I don't do it, but I tell people, find something you enjoy. If it's sports, read about it. People were asking about statistics this morning. We have a tendency to only look on people's websites for stuff. Like, I think the internet's made lazy, right? Because before, when I went to college, I know when you probably first met us, I'm not aging you, I'm just saying, when we went to college, we had to spend more time in the library than we did on Google. So we think, times have changed.
We had the big encyclopedia pack.
Still in that era, and I'm sure most of the audience are not aging, I'm just saying. But you spoke about the event. We need to know, when and where does this event take place? Like, we need details. Crash.
It is in Victoria Park, where it is every year, and it is Saturday, November 2nd, Saturday coming up. And the times are 11 a.m. to 4 p.m. And we have a lot of great things going on, some new activities. We make sure we're balancing, the fun stuff like fun castles and things like that. And we have tattoos and all sorts of things like that. But we're also making sure that parents understand that literacy is the reason for the event. So we have a lot of games. We have, for the first year, we're setting up a literacy sort of Candyland type of game that's tied to shapes and letters and numbers. We have, of course, the book tent where everyone is getting a free book. We have the parent resource tent. Every half hour, we're going to have readers in the pavilion, in the gazebo that's in the middle. We have, the Minister Darla Ravane is going to be reading. Premier David Burt is going to be reading. Lady Kristen Burt is going to be reading. Minister Crystal Caesar. So we have made sure that we are role modeling this from the top. And involving them in storytelling to young people. We have some of our community partners that will be on board, not just in the park, but also in the actual parents resource area specific to generating energy around their responsibility with literacy. We are going to have a literacy tent that is based on technology, because we do believe that there is benefit. There's a lot of games on iPads and things like that that young people can grow from. But it is definitely the traditional trying to tie them to a book is one of our main goals. I mentioned earlier that we are expounding on our sensory station. We have arts and crafts. And then our donors have made it really exciting this year. We have a donor who is going to be donating school book bags. So every child is going to get a school book bag with a lot of fun stuff in it. One of our donors, called Triple Flag Precious Metals, they wanted to know how they could help, and that's the idea that they came up with. Cisco Bermuda is making sure that each child gets a book. So it's really going to be a park of activity, lots going on, and we just encourage everybody birth to 14 to come on down to Victoria Park this Saturday between 11 and 4 o'clock. We have entertainment, magician, so anything you can think going on. Our MC is going to be Patrina. She's coming and she always adds life to the party, so she's going to be coming and participating in the event with us. So that's sort of what it is. There's something you said, Jamal, though, that triggered a thought in me, and it was you saying that as an adult you got into books more. One of the things we really need to remember is young people suffer from depression, suffer from stress, suffer from those type of things. A book is an outlet. Yes. So people need to remember that mental health, when it does come time to need to do something, yes, we would all love to be able to afford getting on a plane and going somewhere to relieve stress and just to sort of, level out. But sometimes picking up a book, picking up a nonfiction book is what we need just to be able to disconnect from what's going on in our everyday life. So not only is the fear about literacy, we can tie it to mental health, because it is what provides an avenue for going into a different world if you wanted to.
Yeah, indeed. No, that's a good point. Books are an outlet. They are an outlet. Nachika Trot says, this is a great initiative. Delta's wishing you all the best. I'll just remind people who might want more information where they can go to learn more about this Saturday's event.
Sure. We our Facebook page, you can look up Bermuda Alumni Chapter is Delta Sigma Theta. So we have more information on our Facebook page. We actually did a story in the paper recently. So we're trying to get information out through as many channels as possible. And any of those will give you more details or give you details about the event.
Indeed. Thank you so much. This has been an awesome conversation, especially on the back of what we were discussing earlier, Denise. Thank you. Thank you so much. And if there's anything between now and Saturday that we can communicate with our audience, please reach out. You have my information, and we'll do our part to remind people, especially on Friday morning show, that there's an event taking place by the Deltas that the community wants to be a part of. Have a good day.
Thank you.
All right, Denise Riviere, folks. If you appreciated today's conversation, please give us a thumbs up, a love, a like. Look, I want us to treat events like this like cop match, and I mean that. I want to ensure that get your blankets, get your stuff, go out to these events. Make sure our young people are part of these events. Again, to me, events like this help eliminate events like what we experienced in Bermuda this past weekend. We're going to take our final break. We'll come back after this break in about 57 seconds. We'll do the daily play. Obviously, I don't have a co-host, so the audience will tell me who the author of this famous quote is when we get back. Stick with us.
Hey Daily Hour community, it's that time of year again. The Daily Hour's annual survey is live, and we want to hear from you. This is your chance to tell us what you love, what you'd like to see more of, and how we can make your viewing experience even better. It only takes a few minutes, and your feedback helps us shape our show for the year ahead. So don't wait, click the link, fill out the survey, and help us continue to improve our community one conversation at a time.
Take a look at our workwear for construction workers and tradesmen. Durable, stretchable in all the right places, and plenty of options for tools and accessories. Pair with our wide range of tough and comfortable footwear, you can't go wrong. As you can see, Medical House really is a one-stop shop for everybody. We can't wait to see you.
See it all at our new expanded location on Bakery Lane.
Alrighty, welcome back, and thanks again to Denise Riviere and the Deltas putting on an awesome event this Saturday. Go check it out, Victoria Park. If you appreciated today's conversation, give us a like, a love, a thumbs up. Make sure you share it with your family, your friends, the entire community, to make sure that we get as many young people and their parents and guardians out to support this initiative for their benefit and the greater community. Thanks again to the BAC group of companies, Medical House, Lindos, and People's Pharmacy for ensuring that we can do this with you on a daily basis. It is time for the Daily Play, brought to you by Bermuda Trivia, now available at stores throughout Bermuda. Follow Bermuda Trivia on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok to find out why it's Bermuda's favorite trivia game. All right, folks, are you ready? It's a Who Said It. All right, what famous poet quoted this? Quote, "If you don't like something, change it. If you can't change it, change your attitude." End quote. Who said it? All right, Brother Charles, it was Maya Angelou. Absolutely, it was Maya Angelou. Yep. I know, not me this time, Suzanne, not me. Karen also said Maya Angelou, and Stacy and Brown says Maya Angelou. So Charles was first on my screen, so we're gonna give it to Charles today. Charles is gonna get it, and let's wrap it up. It's a hard show. I don't enjoy doing shows where we have to speak about the things we spoke about this morning, but I just want to put in context. Another mother's baby boy, another father's son, gone just like that, right? So senselessly. And time after time, I try to use my words to inspire, us as a community and those interested in actually listening to what I have to say. Try to inspire us to play a part in improving our community, and hope that it becomes a place where these things they just don't take place. Unfortunately, I've learned that words aren't enough. As a former youth coach and a mentor, I understand the importance of engaging young people where they are. But there's also what I mentioned earlier, the other side, where people are literally just trying to survive themselves. People are trying to make ends meet. And they can't give to others what they don't have themselves, which is time. So that begs the question, where do we go from here? What do we do? What I think we all agree on is that we can't continue down the path that we're currently going. Thankful to Denise and the Deltas for putting on events like this. As I said earlier, I think events like this are actually solutions to the problems that we're facing as far as antisocial behavior. And I'd encourage everyone, if they have time, if they're available, check it out and offer to take not just your child or maybe someone else's child or a neighbor. The more we know, the better our community should be. And a lot of the things we know are in books. All right, daily inspiration. I'm going to leave you with the quote from Maya Angelou, right? Because if we are unhappy with our situation, change it. And if we don't believe we can change it, change our attitude towards it. So as she said, your daily inspiration, quote, if you don't like something, change it. If you can't change it, change your attitude, end quote, Maya Angelou. All right, folks, don't forget to subscribe on our website. Follow us on all of our social media channels to stay up to date with all that we have going on. If you haven't done the survey yet, please do the survey. Your feedback is appreciated. Help us grow beyond the mic as we do our part to continue to improve our community. Thanks again to our partners, the BAC Group of Companies, Medical Lindos, and People's Pharmacy for ensuring that we're able to do this with you on a daily basis. As always, we appreciate you, we love you, and we thank you for making us part of your daily routine. If all goes well, we'll be back to do this again with you tomorrow. I'm Jamal Hartman. Please do make it a safe and a great day. We are out. Peace.